brighter sunshine, but breezy. Good morning. I'm Michelle Basch.
And I'm Kyle Cooper. The top local stories we're following for you this hour on WTOP. For some federal workers hit with layoffs, one way to challenge it is to file an appeal with what's called the U.S. Merit Systems Protection Board. And WTOP's Mike Murillo says it appears many feds are doing just that. Mike's report kicks off today's coverage of the Trump impact on our area.
When claims of wrongful termination come in, the board is the one that investigates those, and the MSPB says there has been an uptick in appeals since President Trump took office. Kevin Owen, an employment attorney who represents feds, says what those looking to challenge their layoff should know.
There are dozens of administrative judges around the country that are still on the payroll, hearing cases and issuing decisions.
What he's noticing in many of the firings of probationary employees.
A lot of people that aren't federal employment lawyers or federal employees they believe probationary means at will. It does not.
He does, though, caution feds impacted to get legal advice before filing an appeal otherwise.
You may be making a decision about what litigation you're locked into without really knowing what your rights are.
Mike Murillo, WTOP News.
And many probationary federal government employees who were fired last week are fighting back in a different way. WTOP's Neil Augenstein says a new lawsuit claims the Trump administration is misusing the probationary period for political purposes.
The suit was filed by several unions representing government workers. It claims the Office of Personnel Management's order to fire probationary employees was made under false pretenses and is unlawful. Last week, probationary employees got a boilerplate notice from OPM saying they were being fired for performance reasons, but with no specifics given. The suit, which was filed in California, says Congress has determined that each agency is responsible for managing its own workforce and that OPM doesn't have the authority to decide who gets fired. The unions want the court to rule that OPM's order is unlawful and to reinstate fired probationary employees. Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Meanwhile, in a separate case, a federal judge yesterday declined to temporarily halt the Trump administration's mass layoffs.
We're continuing to gather reactions to President Trump's latest comments in favor of a federal takeover of D.C. government. Here's WTOP's Nick Iannelli.
How do D.C. residents feel about the idea?
I'm against it. I want to have self-government.
That's Elizabeth. She's lived in D.C. for more than 50 years and says if the federal government did take over,
we just wouldn't have the same control over our lives.
Another longtime resident, Phil Smith, says,
I don't really lean one way or another, honestly.
But he adds that when President Trump claims a federal takeover would help with crime, it gets his attention.
While I agree with a lot of liberals' takes, I think we've gotten too liberal. So I think we do need a little bit more crime and punishment.
In calling for the takeover, Trump has repeatedly pointed to crime, homelessness, and graffiti in the city. In the district, Nick Iannelli, WTOP News.
Two girls just 11 and 13 years old are under arrest in connection with an attack in Northeast D.C. that went viral on social media. D.C. police say it happened Sunday. Several young people approached a woman as she was walking outside Union Station and started beating her up. Video shows the victim being punched and kicked, even dragged by the hair. Police say people who tried to intervene were also attacked. No one was seriously hurt, but the charges against the two girls include assault with a dangerous weapon and conspiracy to riot.
Coming up on WTOP.